everybody. Myself Palkumar Pat. Sometimes problem doesn't need complicated algorithms to get solved. They just need the hidden technique that should be catched by the solver to get solved very easily. Welcome to LeetCode problem solving series. Today we are going to solve the same type of problem 2283. Check if number has equal digit count and digit value or not. As I mentioned, it contains the same nature. If the solver just understands what the problem is actually trying to say, he can just fastly solve very easily in a single time only. But if it's not getting what the problem is trying to say, then it can take 5 hours to solve, then to not getting solved the problem. We will start today by understanding the problem properly and then moving to the most optimal solution directly. You would be thinking why I just jumped to the optimal solution. Because before doing that, I will make you understand what the problem is trying to say. After understanding that, you will also directly jump to the optimal solution. Because after that, knowing that what the problem is saying, you would just think that no, brute force is not needed for this problem. So let's just understand what the problem is saying. So as you can see, an input string is given to us, okay, which contains digits in the form of characters. Okay, and our task is simple. Let me just show you by taking an example. Okay, as I mentioned, we are given a string which contains digits in the form of characters. Okay, and our task is simple. In plain English, our task is to check if the digit at the index present in the string represents that number of times that index comes in the string or not. Okay, sounds complex, but let me make you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so here you can see, first let me just take, you can see here that we are having frequencies of all the digits that we are having in the string. Okay, we have three distinct digits, 1, 2 and 0. Okay, and here we are having the frequency of all three digits which we are having in the string. Okay, and our task is simple. As I mentioned, we just need to check if the index that we are on, okay, here there are all the 4 iterations of the string in this box. Okay, and we need to check if the digit the index that we are on, if it's representing the number of times that index appears in the string. Okay, let me give an example. See, we are currently on 0th index. Okay, and 0th index is containing 1. So we need to check that if 0 is coming one time in the string or not. If yes, then move to the next index. Likewise, check for every index. If every index follow this condition, then we need to return true. And if any single index 2 doesn't follow this condition, we need to return false. Okay, I hope you understood what the problem is trying to say. Let me give another example. For example, we move to the first index. First index is having the digit 2. So we need to check if the 1, which is our index, if 1 is coming 2 times in the string or not. Okay, exactly 2 times, because it is containing 2 as its digit. If yes, then we need to move to the next index, which is 2. Now 2 contains 1. So we need to check if 2 appears one time in the string or not. If yes, again move to the next index, which is 3. Now 3 is containing 0. So we need to check if 3 appears 0 times in our string or not, which is also correct. So for every index, our condition is saying yes, it's correct and it follows. So we need to return true. For this input string, if any other input doesn't follow this, then need to return false. Okay, I hope you understood what the problem says. Now you, most of you would just have, we can say, realized that our task is much simpler than it was like seeming at the start of the problem. So our task is simple, as I mentioned. In this understanding part only, you could have just realized that what are tasks. We will start by optimal solution. Okay, like as I mentioned, we will just directly jump to the optimized approach. So our task that we need to do in the optimized approach, it is just like we will just store each and every index. The time that index comes, we'll just store it in a hash based structure. Okay, for this problem we will use map, because strings are dealt perfectly by using map. Okay, so we'll use map as a hash based structure to store all the frequencies of index that we are on for the input given string. After that, we will just iterate through the complete string again, and we will just check if the store that we are having, or we can say the hash based structure that we use, which is map to store the frequencies, if that frequency matches to the current index of the string, just move to the next one. If that same way, likewise, each and every index matches to the value it represents in the store, then just at the end of the program return true. Otherwise, at any point, if it doesn't match, completely return false. Done. Simple sorted task. Let's just move to the coding part for this approach. Okay, as I mentioned, we will start by storing the frequencies of the index in a hash based structure. For this problem we will use map. So let's just declare our map. Okay, inside that, both the parts, the key and the value, both of them will be integers for our easiness. Okay, so that we can just directly check. Otherwise, during the checking part we need to convert it like using stoi or that type of methods, which will be more and more complex. So we'll just use both the key and value as integers. Now, as I mentioned, we will iterate through the complete given string, and we will just directly store the frequencies of the index that we are on. Okay, now you know that for storing the frequencies in a map, we can just directly like do it like this way. Num of I, like if the current index, there is a problem. Okay, in this line that I have written, there is a problem that we are having string. Okay, now if I give it plus, it won't work. Okay, because this works for normal integers. Okay, but we are having each and every character in the form of string. Okay, for strings this line can't work, so we will just need to convert the character we are on in the into the form of, like we can say, integer, so that this line works. Okay, now for converting you can use stoi as a method too, but it will just increase the complexity. For that there is another small technique which many of you would have been knowing. We use this way. Okay, we just subtract 0 in the form of character from the character that we are on, because now what happens here is that num of I will point to the character of that particular string. Okay, for example, we start by iterating from the first character, we have 1. Now what will happen here is num of I will point to 1. Okay, now 1 is a character, not an integer, so it will point to its ASCII value because we are dealing with that character in the form of mathematical operations. Now character obviously can't go through the mathematical operations, so they convert themselves into their integer portion. An integer portion of any character is its ASCII value, as you know. So 1 will convert itself to its ASCII value. Now for getting 1 in the form of integer, we will subtract that much of ASCII value that we want. Okay, for example, obviously I just don't remember the ASCII value of 1, but for example it's 32. Okay, let's say it's 32. So what will happen here is num I will represent 32, which is the ASCII value of 1, minus the ASCII value of 0. Now obviously if ASCII value of 1 is 32, then ASCII value of 0 will be obviously 31. Okay, so what will happen here is it will happen 32 minus 31. So it will simply return 1. So what will happen here? It will just write here as store of 1 plus plus. So what will happen? The task that we need to do, it will be perfectly done by doing this. So this is again a simple mathematical hidden trick to just like convert a character into its, like if the character is digit, then and then only to convert into its integer form. So this by doing this, we will just store each and every index's frequency in a hash based structure, which will be map. Now after, as I mentioned, after storing, we will move to checking part, where we will just check. As I mentioned, we will again iterate through the complete input string that we are having. Okay, we will just iterate through that, and during that iteration we will just check that if the, we can say, let's just say that we need to check that if the current index that we are on during the iteration, if it's equal to its number of frequency which is stored in the map, then just go forward, and if it's not equal, then just return false. Okay, so what we'll write here, we will just write if store of the current index, which will point to the frequency of the current index. Let's say we are on 0th index. So store of 0 will point to 0's frequency in the input string, which we want to check. As you know, after that, we will use a not equal, because we want to check if it's not equal, then just return false. Otherwise, we will check and continue the process. So we will use not equal to, and we will check in the if the current, again here also we can't just directly use, as you would have just seen that I was writing here num of I. We can't write that because, as I mentioned, it is a character. We can't just directly use that. So here also we will just directly write this complete part, because we need to check its integer part, if that's equal or not. Okay, simply in after the if condition, if it's not equal, directly return false. And after completion of this loop, if false is not returned, this means that yes, every check is properly working and every condition fulfills. If that's true, then just return true according to our work. So yeah, this can properly work for solving our problem. Let's check if it's working properly through all the base cases. So yeah, let's just submit it properly. It's, as you can see, it be 100% of the complete time complexity, because it is optimized by itself. We are using single for loops, which means the order will be only of n, which means that it's properly optimized for solving this problem. So I hope you would have understood what is the complete optimal solution. Okay, now let me just show you what is the brute force approach, so that you can also just keep that in your mind, that why we just didn't do brute force. Okay, after seeing this, you will just understand that, oh, that's nice that we just didn't use that. Okay, again, this is the brute force approach, where we are using nested for loops to check for each character if it's equal to any of the next characters in the complete string. Then just increase the count for that single character. This way, we are just using the nested for loops to pass through the complete string again and again, which is obviously it's not optimized for this type of problems. So this is the complete optimized solution for this brute force part. Okay, this was the complete solution for this problem. If you like the way I explained and I solved the problem, you can like the video, and for more these type of tech and coding related content, you can subscribe to the channel too. If you want this optimized solution, as well as I will also attach this brute force solution too in the link of the GitHub repo given in the description of the video. You can get code to both these codes from there. Okay, and I also made many of the other problem solutions too of LeetCode problem solving series, which I have made a playlist of, so you can just check it out. It is also present in the description of the video. And if you want to connect with me personally, you can use the social connections link, which are also present in the description of the video. Thank you very much for staying till the end. Thank you very much.